Hello, everyone. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the Mercury-Venus conjunction, which is going to be exact on the 27th. But the space-time moment is also giving me chance to show you something interesting regarding Sedna, the position of Sedna at the moment. But let's go back to the Mercury-Venus conjunction, which is not at all too rare. The fact that Venus is at the moment retrograding and still quite slow, but at the same time, Mercury is quite fast. I think it's not twice, but 1.5 times as fast as usual. Shows that this is a space-time moment that is only valid for maybe a day, maybe half a day, if we want to cling to our 1 degree orb, which I usually do. Maybe 2, yes. But anyhow, so it's going to be exact on the 27th, and it is occurring at 28.5 degrees in Leo. Now, Mercury-Venus is about whether or not you talk in a nice way, because Venus rules love and niceties and beauty and harmony, and Mercury rules discourse and also communication and thinking processes. And we Hungarians always say, have a good day. Actually, this is how, good night, good evening. And yes, this is an English tradition as well. But in the United States, about 20, 30 years ago, a new era started when people started to wish, have a nice day. And this made me think, because good and nice are not synonyms. And also what is good is not always nice. And what is nice is definitely not always good. And also the question, what is nice, what is beauty, has been totally distorted. So I would rather go back to the wish, have a good day instead of have a nice day, because as I said, nice is not always good. Should be, but unfortunately it isn't. But actually, this is a philosophical idea, so I'm not going to go into it. Let's take a look at the chart itself. The exact moment in London is at 16:15 London, so 4:15 p.m. London time. And there are some features in this particular chart. This is the exact space-time moment when the retrograding Venus and direct Mercury meet up at the very end of Leo. This is not anaretic, because anaretic is 29 degrees, after 29 degrees, and this is 28 something. As you can see, the moon is rising, the Scorpio moon is rising, Sedna is setting, and there's this still okay, but separating Mercury, not Mercury, Pallas Athena, Mars conjunction. So you have full-blown war and defense. Pallas Athena is more like defense mechanisms, and Mars is fighting, of course, bloody fighting. And it's interesting to look at the war, how, yes, it is on the one hand escalating, but at the same time, it is also kind of appeasing. I don't really know what's going on. There's this American journalist Scott Ritter, who has 2 movies now out there, which shows, indicates, what is really going on in the background. And of course, the mainstream media is trying to discredit him, but facts are very facts can really convey interesting things. And what's happening at the moment is a total rewriting of history and rewriting truth. So actually, have a good day instead of have a nice day is even more important to my mind. And there's still the Vesta-Astrea conjunction focus on karma breaking. And there's also a midpoint structure involving the Mercury-Venus conjunction, because it is at the midpoint of Trans-Pluto and Black Moon Lilith. 2 strong feminine. Trans-Pluto is Persephone, who is halfway down the underworld, being the queen of the underworld, the wife of Hades. And half the time she's up in the normal, regular world with her mother, Demeter, and supporting her in her goddess role of agriculture. And then Black Moon Lilith, of course, is the 3rd turning point of the Lilith myth. indicating that you can be strong, and if you have stamina and you have good intentions, you will survive and you can do what you need to do. So it's an interesting space-time moment, even from that point of view, that the Venus Mercury conjunction is just at this midpoint. This is a complex planetary picture, and it's partly dissociate. The reason why is because Sedna is at 0 degrees 25 Gemini, and Sedna has now it became really star-studded. I'm going to show you in a minute why. But let's dissect this complex planetary picture. First of all, in the London chart, and this is only in the London chart, you have the Mercury-Venus conjunction exactly squaring the ascendant-descendant. So this is a fixed T-square. It kind of suggests that, yes, you will think very clearly about your relationship issues and about yourself, how you can actually place yourself within a relationship, whether it gives you harmony and well-being and security. And of course, the karmic cage involving Pluto and the nodes is still there, very tight. This occurs every 9-10 years, so it's not something unheard of. But it's always a moment in space-time where you need to actually think hard whether you want to fulfill your destiny, future, or you go back to the issues, unresolved issues of your karma, past. And then Pluto is the transformer. It is helping you to transform. Of course, it's also power. So those are the two hard aspect configurations in this chart. There's also a boomerang involving the Neptune-Lilith opposition. Neptune is, of course, retrograding in its own sign, which helps. In a way, it helps the smoke screen as well, but also gives you the potential to go up one level higher and see through the smoke screen. And asteroid Lilith denotes revolt against injustice. So that gives you the middle portion of the boomerang, and the anchor point is Lilith, and the apex is Neptune. So that's the issue. That's the main issue, and the way to resolve it is the Mercury-Venus conjunctions sextile to the south node, which denotes your karmic past, your instinctual behavior patterns. And this is how you can actually resolve the problem. There's also two yods. One is Mercury, Venus, Neptune, and Pluto. Neptune and Pluto are again engaged in a sextile. This occurred in the 20th century numerous times. Almost everyone born in the last century has the Neptune-Pluto sextile, especially if you give it a bit wider orb. I only give 3 degrees to sextiles, but most of the traditional schools give like 4-5 degrees even, and then everyone has it. And then at the turn of the 21st century, they moved a little bit closer to each other, and we had a septile quite often, which is the 1/7 portion of the circle, 51 degrees and half, 27 minutes or half, 51.5 degrees. You can use that number. And it denotes mysticism. It's quite interesting because even the sextile provided us with mysticism, because the two transcendental objects, with Neptune, it's insight, and with Pluto, it's all kinds of magical transformation. So that is one, at the apex of which is the very Venus Mercury conjunction. And the other yod is the ascendant, Pluto, with the sextile portion, and Lilith, asteroid Lilith. That's the sextile portion. Sorry. So it's the north node. So the apex is the north node. Concentrate on your destiny by accepting your role and revolt against injustice. There's also dissociate kite. Kites are very useful because they turn the lazy pattern of a grand trine into something usable and workable. But in this case, we don't have this because Sedna is out of sign. So this is not what it would be otherwise. It would be an earth-water kite at the anchor point with Neptune. But unfortunately, we don't have it. It's falling apart. and what's the maybe the most interesting portion of this whole complex, the planetary picture, is a dissociate tense trapeze involving Sedna, Pluto, the South Node, and Mercury, Venus. And it is tense because the sides of the trapeze are two squares. Actually, the second square is not a square. It is more like a sextile energy, but the square is tight, but Sedna is in Gemini and Venus, Mercury is in Leo. So you have a sextile energy there. The other one is a cardinal square. It is part of the karmic cage of with the nodes and Pluto. So that's the tension. And then you need to step up on the sextile portion, which is brilliant. But inside, you have two quincunxes and the base, the base where your talent resides, is a dissociate trine between Pluto and Sedna, which is more like a quincunx. And within one of the quincunxes, Mercury, Venus conjunction to Pluto is a true quincunx, out of which the Pluto-Venus is monodirective because both are retrograding, and Pluto-Venus is about the emotional black hole, according to Judy Hall. It means that you feel that never will you have enough love and security and some sort of harmony creating power is linked to Venus Pluto, but it is very tense and it's filled with desperation sometimes. And the Mercury Pluto quincunx is bidirectional. And it is, so it can be useful, quite useful, because bidirectional quincunxes act usually as trines. And Mercury Pluto is about manipulation or understanding, being manipulated. And the other quincunx involving the Sedna and the South Node is, if you look at it, is a trine because it's Gemini and Libra. So that's maybe the most interesting. And we also have a mini trapeze in the London chart involving the ascendant Mercury Venus square. This is a fixed square, and the top is the Lilith, asteroid Lilith South Node. That's where you can step up. So there's also a mini trapeze, which is more like a mini stage. Okay, here are the transcendental celestial objects. On the Mercury Venus, you have Clio. She was one of the muses of history. Now, have you realized that they no longer teach us history? Because if they were, we would understand the mechanics of the past, and we could understand what the future holds. And this is a pivotal moment from this point of view, that you need to learn your history. And it's quite interesting because you can see how new history is being created in Ukraine. They are totally rewriting their old history. So it's useful to watch it. And there's Sila Nunam, two gods of earth and air, and of course earth and not as elements, but as earth and sky. So suggesting that in order to understand what's going on, we need both. And two fixed stars, which were there in the previous video when we talked about Venus being there, still there, of course, because it's very slow. It just turned retrograde. Atafera, which is Zeta Leo, which is the domain of the celestial lion. The whole constellation of Leo is about power. And Alphard, which is Alpha Hydra, and Hydra is a mythical animal that is lurking in the waters, and Hercules needs to kill it, and that's the Alpha star. So it's lurking in the subconscious, something nasty. On Pluto, you have Hera, Zeus's wife, so the first lady energy, and also the jealous wife archetype, and the two centaurs, which we already looked at many times, Aureus, which means mitigated punishment, and Amicus, which means nothing is ever sacred, I need to win. On the North Node, you have Panacea and Lachesis as two asteroids, and then two fixed stars. Actually, one is a whole galaxy, Andromeda Galaxy. You can see it by the naked eye, but you won't be able to see the spirals. You will see just a blur, like a little patch in the sky, but it's quite neat. And Alrisha is the knot that connects the two fish in the constellation Pisces, one that is going back to the wheel of karma, coming back to the earth plane, and the other one is trying to go upwards and leaving the earth plane and leaving the incarnation cycle. Panacea is universal remedy, and Lachesis is the middle of the fates, probably the most important of the fates, who is actually creating your destiny when you tell her what you want to do. On the south node, you have Horus, the first pharaoh, and also the defender of darkness, very important, and Haumea, the goddess of abundance in Hawaii, who is constantly reproducing and dishing out children and then rejuvenating herself and still having more children. On asteroid Lilith, you have two very important goddesses, Harmonia, harmony, and Abundancia, abundance. And this is exactly what we should fight for, because that is what is taken away from us slowly but surely. Everywhere, really, in the United States, where the middle class is being impoverished, in the EU, where they are trying to force you to eat certain things, to use certain fuels, to drive certain things, and sooner or later they will take away what you have. These new Bolsheviks that I call the Greens. And on Sedna, we have Medusa, Morsomnus, and the Pleiades. Morsomnus was a centaur, actually it's a TNO that was very, very prominent in during the pandemic. So this is star-studded Sedna. Again, it is at 0 degrees 25 in Gemini, actually accessing all the stars in the Pleiades constellation, which is the tiniest of the constellations. And it has 9 stars that are mostly visible. 7 definitely are. And at the moment, because we allow 1 degree for each fixed star, all the stars are aligned with Sedna. And the reason why I'm using aligned, and this is something that Bernard Brady taught us way back in 2005, I believe, that certain things, certain stars can never be conjunct a planet or something in the Milky Way, in the solar system. Don't forget that the solar system contains the planets, centaurs, asteroids, and TNOs and whatever, but fixed stars are everywhere in the sky. And as you will see, we won't be able to be conjunct with a certain amount of them. And here you see the declinational position of Sedna, which is plus 8 degrees 39, 8.5 degrees, which means it is above the celestial equator. And you can see that there are a number of stars conjunct, but we will see it's not conjunct. And actually Alray, which is Gamma Cepheus, which is up north, the Pleiades, which is they are just above the constellation Taurus, and then Eridanus, which is a huge constellation in the southern sky. So this is how it looks like if we take a look at the planetarium. All these stars, Arai, the Pleiades, the 7 or 9 stars of the Pleiades, Cade and Bade and Themin, which are parts of the constellation Eridanus, are all conjunct, as it shows, Sedna. But of course, they are not conjunct because in their declinations, they are far away from being conjunct. Here's the Pleiades. Now, stars with of the Pleiades could be conjunct the planet because it is above the ecliptic, but not that much. So Mercury, Venus, Mars could easily be conjunct any of the stars of the Pleiades. And nothing can be conjunct with Al-Rai, which is Gamma Cepheus, which is the knee of the celestial king of the Ethiopians. You know the story with Andromeda, Cassiopeia, Perseus. It's a hero story. And below is the constellation Eridanus. We are going to look at it in a minute. in detail. So all these stars have the same astrological degree as Sedna at the moment. So they are all aligned with Sedna, but of course, it is not a physical conjunction. So this is how it looks like. By the way, the constellation Pleiades looks like a little dipper, actually, when you take a good look at it. And here is Eridanus. As you can see, here's Orion, and the beta, I think it's the beta star of Orion is Rigel, which is the foot of the celestial furrow. And above it, a little bit to the north, but still in the southern hemisphere, is Cursa, which is about 5 degrees from the celestial equator. You can see the belt stars of Orion, which are on the celestial equator. So this is where it starts. This is Beta Eridanus, the second brightest star in Eridanus, and it goes all the way down to Aherna, which is the Alpha star. So this is how it looks like. This is the largest of the constellations. And this river, celestial river, describes the hero's journey in a different way. The hero's journey is usually linked to the zodiacal constellations itself, but this one suggests something different. It is the beta star is very, very close to the celestial equator, and celestial equator symbolizes divine equilibrium, divine balance. And in order to evolve, we sometimes need to leave this divine balance and need to leave our comfort zone and go towards a goal that is out there and deep down there. Any metaphor will do. And only at the very, very end of the journey can we actually see the fruit of our accomplishments and really understand that it was worth it, or maybe it's not worth it. Sometimes it's very, very difficult. Sometimes when you these are difficult times. These are very dark times in many respects. And those people who are most sensitive to energies actually can feel it, can feel this drive towards the darkness. And in the upcoming darkness, it's very hard to stay put and still believe in goodness and still believe in niceties. But Mercury Venus tells us that it is possible. So let's hope for the best. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.